What is up, everybody? Jester here, and today I'm going to be testing out the Bionic Lure, content that was just added by Hello Games in the Aquarius update. But we're not going to be doing this for money. We're going to be looking at drop rates. So to get this, we're going to do it 1,000 times. And based on my testing last night, this is going to be a 10-hour ordeal for me. So let's get into it. For anyone that didn't know, the Aquarius update for No Man's Sky from Hello Games launched September 4th, 2024. Yesterday at time of filming, but who knows how long it's going to take me to get through all of this. And with it comes fishing, as well as a few other things. There's apparently brand new fish in the game that you can't scan. They don't appear in the database. Okay. There's an exoskiff, an exocraft that doesn't move. Okay. Look, I'm going to keep my comments reserved for a later video, but one thing did really interest me in the patch notes. It's not even explicitly mentioned here in the highlights, and that is this. Occasionally, inanimate objects may be retrieved from the water instead of fish. Such objects include procedurally generated messages in a bottle and water damage technology upgrades. And we know that these exist because in the expedition, you have to catch an inanimate object, and mine was boots, and then you're also getting the data capsules from the angler. So we know these things exist in the wild, but I want to find out what the drop rates are. To give ourselves the best chance of getting the highest rarity items and some of the rarer stuff, and hopefully that's going to help with the procedural generation stuff, we're going to be using the best bait. But I do want to point out here so you guys understand your baits a little bit. If you just put chromatic metal on the hook, you get a 17% rarity improvement and an 8% catch size improvement, which is actually about as big as it gets in the game. And then likewise, if you were to put in carbon, you also get an 8% size bonus, but only 3% on rarity. So no, you can put these on your hook, but it doesn't really do much. The dangling orb, the shadow lure, and the magnapulse are basically specialty baits. The dangling orb is going to give you 24% on the rarity as well as 2% in size, but it's really only good for daytime fish. The nocturnal one is the shadow lure, nighttime fish. The numbers are going to be the same on all of these. And then, of course, the magnapulse has got the same rarity and size, but this one attracts stormfish. Mealworms are going to be the most basic bait you can put on anything, and it's going to be across the board for your rarity stuff. It's 20% and 2% catch size improvement. The other three baits here with this one, we're going to be using all 2% size, but you can get a little bit better rarity with the mealworms. Same kind of goes for the spicy chum. It actually jumps up quite a bit to 54% and then 2% on the size improvement like we mentioned. The best one you can get, though, is the Bionic Lure. That's why we're going to be using it. 64% improvement and a 2% size improvement. I think and hope what this is going to do is give us a better shot at getting the technologies and or the clothing and or the messages in a bottle. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Certainly it's going to help us with the A class and the S class, and probably going to minimize our C class, but we'll start to see that as we go fishing. Now that we have all our basics down, it's time to get fishing, and I went ahead and built myself a fishing retreat here in the Kingdom system. Card for that's up in the top right corner if you guys want to come by and play with the toys we're building over here. Just a good time. But I don't know what to expect from this test. I really don't. I did about 100 casts last night, and I ended up getting 3 S-Class and 0 technologies or messages in a bottle. So I'm thinking the S-Class drop rates between 2 and 3, maybe 4% tops. But we'll see. This is going to be an interesting adventure, and I should be surprised at the end. After just my first 100 casts, I was really kind of shocked with the result. We ended up getting 10 S-Class legendary fish. We got 28 A-Class, 46 B-Class, and 16 C-Class fish. And what this tells me is the lure is working because our lowest number of things that would usually be the most common is the C-Class at 16. And I was really surprised that it's a 10% drop rate on the S-Class. But there's a reason why we're doing 1,000 here is because 100 is a really small sample size. So the more information we get, the more we can honestly say, okay, this is probably the drop rate. We may not get any S-Class in the next 100, and that would drop it to a 5% drop rate immediately. But we're going to see what ends up happening. And also note, we did not sniff a freaking memory in a bottle, nor did we sniff any of the other technologies or anything else you can possibly get when it comes to fishing. Not yet. A quick little addition to the video here. I just realized that if you go into your catalog, these are cataloged. It's just kind of a weird spot. They're in Wonders. And you go into that, and then down below here, you see the fishing records. Now, inside of here is 176 new different things you can find with fishing. The ones we're concerned with are these final 6 or so. I can't tell if these are organic or not. They might be, but then there's the boot. This is probably the technology. That's probably the time capsule here. Message in a bottle. So these are going to be really, really rare. 131 to go until I get halfway done. After 4.5 hours and 500 fish caught, 3 things were becoming very clear. Number 1, I was really beginning to regret my life decisions. I'm not looking forward to the next 500. This was just standing there doing one thing over and over again, and we've pretty much caught all the fish in this area, so I don't think we're going to get any new catalog stuff. Number 2, I'm pretty sure I'm an expert in fishing now. I'm going to share with you a couple of tips that'll help you guys here in just a second. But number 3, if we go into our inventory and we look, we're not getting any of the message in a bottle nor the technologies. Now, what I can say is we got 42 S-class fish, so of the legendary fish. Now, that's an 8.4% drop rate over the course of 500 casts. That's a little higher than I expected, but it's less than the 10 that we got on the 100. That was followed up by 162 A-class, 217 B-class, and only 79 C-class to make up our 500 fish. So the lure is doing its job as advertised in improving your rarity, but we're still not catching the stuff we're looking for. But before we get into the next 500, let me give you a couple tips that are going to help you guys fish a little better. As far as the fishing quote-unquote mechanic for the game goes, there's really not a whole lot to it. You put a bait in the water, the fish is going to hit it every time. But there are a few things that I did figure out that made life a little bit easier for doing it in bulk like this. Number 1, don't throw the lure right here next to the dock. If the weather happens to pick up and the water starts churning, it's really difficult to keep track of your line and what state the line is in. So give yourself some space, throw it out there. It's not going to change the fight or anything else going forward, and I'll explain that in a second. The next thing I do is I rotate the camera slightly to the right. Now, this is the biggest deal I can tell you. Watch the line and not the lure. In its natural state here, it's blue. When a fish taps on it, you get a nibble, it goes yellow, and then will eventually go full green. And if you're watching the line and not the lure, these waves that are coming over now don't matter, because we saw it go green and we're now able to bring these guys in. In my 500 tries, I missed a total of 5 fish, 1% of the time. Now, these were all my fault. Not once was it ever clear that the line snapped. I never saw that as part of the mechanic, so I don't think that's even possible. I play on controller, and that's right trigger to bring the fish in. So let's go ahead and get a cast out here, and let me show you how this is done. The way that it works is you have to hold down that right trigger or whatever your catch button is. I'm not sure what it is on PC or other controllers. For me, it's the right trigger on an Xbox controller. And you're going to see here that the fish are going to start nibbling and nibbling. And if you let off of this trigger even a little bit or whatever your capture button is, it's going to say you missed the fish. You have to hold it down until the catch is complete. That is the only mechanic to the game. I've not once seen ever that the line snapped. And there you go. Because I didn't hold it down, the fish escaped and I lost my lure. So basically at this point, they did put out a patch to where the blue water was kind of a hard deal to fish with because of the blue line. It looks like it's a little more white now, so it's easier to see. But at this point, let's just fast forward to where we get the results of the 1,000, and let's see what we end up with. After 1,000 casts, this was my jacked up inventory. And I'm going to be honest with you, just looking at these S-Class, there's not much money in any of these stacks. So I'm guessing there's no more than 10 or 15 million units here. And this is 9 hours of my time. Totaling everything up from this 1,000 cast venture that we were getting into, we ended up getting 61 S-Class or legendary fish for basically a 6% drop rate. And that's up from the 10% that we got in the first 100, which is why you want to do a bigger sample size, because you never know where it's going to level out. And I feel like 1,000 casts, that's a pretty good spot. So I'd say 6% is pretty safe. We ended up at 32% on A-Class, 46% on B-Class, and the remaining 16% was C-Class. And that means the bionic lure is actually working. So I'm pretty happy with this, except for we didn't get any messages in the bottle or any technologies. And that makes me feel like my time was kind of devalued. This is usually the part of the video where I give you my conclusion. I tell you guys to like and subscribe. I mean, look, I spent 9 hours in this, so I hope that you do. But in this case, I can't, because something happened when I was making this video that we have to go investigate. After the first 500 cast, I decided to go ahead and shoot the part where I was showing you to watch the line and not the lure. And then this happened. We caught one of these things. We didn't have any bait on the line. This is insane. And now I got serious doubts about the entire experiment, because when you come in here and you look, this is now recorded as times caught. And we did this on our first try without any bait whatsoever. So now I'm thinking the baits are strictly geared towards fish. Maybe an empty hook is the way to go. Now I got to go test this. It did not take very long. As a matter of fact, this was my first cast on a new planet because I just wanted a change of scenery. We got the sea sponge, one of the inanimate objects. It's clear that no bait is the way to go if you're going to want to get anything that is not a fish. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to catch fish, but you're also going to get a better shot, apparently, at getting these inanimate objects. About 25 minutes in, we got our first message in a bottle. So these things do exist, and that's great to know. I went ahead and fished for about another 2 hours, and as you can see, all of the flotsam stuff we now have unlocked. So going with no bait is absolutely the way to go if you're looking to get these added to your catalog. They're not worth like anything, but it's just those items that you can go catch. Without a bait, we did get 2 S-Class in a 2 hours, so about 1% drop rate, which, you know, it's whatever. We're not using a lure. But we got 5 of the recovered messages from the message in a bottle. The only kind of ones that are different, these look like just little messages, but there are a couple that have a certain word because the rest of it was ruined. Maybe there'll be a sentence we can put together through all of that. I wouldn't hold my breath on that, but it is possible. The one thing we didn't get was technology at all, so I can't seem to catch this whatsoever. It remains to be seen what this technology actually is. Is it something like the Sentinel weapon shard that you can put in? Or is it something that's reskinned, maybe with a little better stats that you have to repair? I don't know. If you guys know, leave me a comment and let me know. Or better yet, join the Discord and send me a screenshot of what it is so I can actually see what they are. I'm going to keep trying to catch one, but I got to stop this recording someplace. I mean, I'm 11 hours into fishing, and I've yet to catch one of these things. And in fairness, I do want to point out that the Bionic Lure does say that it's the size and rarity of your catch. How they're getting around the rarity thing is these things aren't rare. They're just flotsam. So that they don't actually apply when it comes to the lures. Basically, the lures are just around fish. So I guess, I don't know, if you're looking to get the big fish in the S-Class legendaries, use the lures. And if you're looking to get this other stuff, don't use any bait at all. In the end, we did exactly what we set out to do, and that was figure out what the S-Class drop rate or for legendary fish was using the Bionic Lure. And I think it's pretty safe to say after 1,000 casts, that it's between 6 and 7%. I think when the wiki finally does come out, it's going to reflect that. I don't think we need to go to a 2,000 sample size just to be sure, but I'm glad we went more than 100. We also figured out that no bait is actually the best way to go about catching the other stuff, including the message in a bottle, and I assume the technologies, even though we were unable to get that at this point. And again, if you guys have caught these, let me know how long it took you, and let me know what they actually do, because I'm really curious as to what they are. I'm going to keep trying, but I can't just delay the video going out any longer. As always, if you guys like the content, like and subscribe, because I've got a ton more coming, including finishing up the permadeath run that we started a little while back. I'm going to be showing you how to make fusion igniters, and I'm going to put all my thoughts together when it comes to the Aquarius update, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in a video here within the next week or so. So hopefully you guys are down with that, and I can't wait to see you there. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.